McKenzie Scott has finally admitted the real reason she divorced Jeff Bezos, and it's far worse than anyone imagined. For years, people assumed it was simply about his affair with Lauren Sanchez, but what McKenzie has shown us through $19 billion in strategic donations tells a much deeper, more devastating story about systematic erasure and invisible suffering. The world watched as one of the most powerful couples on Earth announced their divorce on January 9th, just 24 hours later. Exactly 24 hours. The National Enquirer detonated their expose on Jeff's secret relationship, complete with intimate text messages where the world's richest man wrote, "I love you, alive girl." But here's what nobody talks about. The National Enquirer had been tracking this affair for 4 months. How did McKenzie know to announce their divorce the precise day before the scandal broke? Someone knew that bomb was about to drop. What McKenzie Scott has shown us since walking away from that marriage isn't just unprecedented philanthropy. It's a carefully orchestrated psychological profile of her own suffering, revealed through where she sends billions and who she chooses to help. And when you understand the pattern of her giving minus organizations for the silenced, the overlooked, the trapped, you'll realize that Jeff's affair was just the final confirmation of something far more sinister. The truth McKenzie has been screaming through her $19 billion in donations to over 2,000 organizations is absolutely devastating. This isn't just about infidelity. This is about a brilliant Princeton graduate who spent 25 years building the world's most powerful company while systematically disappearing from her own existence. At 55 years old, McKenzie Scott has finally admitted through every choice she's made exactly why that marriage had to end. Because the woman who drove Jeff Bezos cross-country to start Amazon had become so invisible in the empire she built that even she couldn't see herself anymore. To understand why McKenzie's transformation is so shocking, we need to go back to 1992, when their love story was completely genuine. Because what happened to that genuine partnership makes the betrayal even more heartbreaking. Picture this: Mackenzie Tuttle, 22 years old, brilliant Princeton graduate who studied under Toni Morrison, starts work at the prestigious hedge fund D.E. Shaw in Manhattan. On her first day, she hears this distinctive, loud laugh echoing through the office walls. She hasn't even met the person yet, but that laugh, infectious, energetic, impossible to ignore, makes her curious about who could be that uninhibited in a buttoned-up hedge fund. When Mackenzie's job interview came up, she specifically requested Jeff Bezos as her interviewer. She got the job, they worked in neighboring offices. And here's what makes this story so tragic. Mackenzie made the first move. She was the pursuer. She asked him out to lunch. 3 months later, they were engaged. 6 months after that, married in a simple ceremony. This was 1993. Jeff wasn't wealthy. Amazon didn't exist. He was just another hedge fund analyst. This was real love between two brilliant people who genuinely chose each other. In 1994, when Jeff came to Mackenzie with his crazy idea about selling books on this new thing called the internet, she didn't just support his dream, she made it physically possible. Mackenzie drove their beat-up Honda Civic cross-country from New York to Seattle for 3 straight days, while Jeff sat in the passenger seat with his laptop, frantically writing the business plan that would become Amazon. She drove, he dreamed. That's how it started. When they arrived in Seattle, Mackenzie became Amazon employee number 1. She wasn't sitting on sidelines playing housewife, she was handling accounting, negotiating the first contracts, physically packing books in their garage alongside Jeff. They lived in a 1-bedroom rental house. They drove that same 1996 Honda Accord until 2013, long after they were billionaires, because material things didn't matter to them. During those early Amazon years, Jeff was still the man Mackenzie fell in love with. He refused to schedule meetings before 10 a.m. because he wanted breakfast with his family every single morning. He washed dishes. He was Mackenzie's first reader for her novels, staying up late, giving her detailed feedback on her writing. They were building something together as genuine equals. But success and power have a way of changing people. And as Amazon exploded from a garage startup into a global empire, generating hundreds of billions, something fundamental began shifting in Jeff Bezos and in how he saw the woman who had made it all possible. By the early 2000s, Amazon wasn't just successful, it was becoming one of the most powerful companies in human history. And Jeff Bezos wasn't just a CEO anymore, he was transforming into something else entirely, something Mackenzie watched with growing alarm. The late nights started first, then the weekend trips that turned into week-long trips, then the constant media attention positioning Jeff as a singular visionary genius, as if Amazon had sprung fully formed from his mind alone. In 2000, Jeff launched Blue Origin, his space company, because apparently dominating Earth's commerce wasn't enough. Now he needed to conquer space too. Meanwhile, McKenzie retreated further and further into the background. She focused on raising their 4 children, 3 sons and 1 adopted daughter from China. She pursued her writing, publishing her debut novel, The Testing of Luther Albright, in 2005, which actually won an American Book Award. But Jeff's world had become so cosmically enormous that McKenzie's literary achievements felt microscopic in comparison. Friends close to the couple began noticing something disturbing during this period. McKenzie, who had once been vibrant and opinionated, grew quieter, more careful, more guarded. The warm energy that had existed between her and Jeff started evaporating. There were fewer genuine smiles at public events, fewer moments where they looked like they actually enjoyed each other's company. Jeff was now permanently surrounded by layers of executives, advisors, public relations handlers, and sycophants, telling him he was changing the world. McKenzie was home managing the household staff and raising 4 children while her husband obsessed over his vision of commercial and cosmic dominance. She had gone from Amazon employee number 1 to being treated like employee number 50,000, easily replaceable, rarely consulted, increasingly invisible. The cruel irony was devastating. McKenzie had helped build the very empire that was now consuming and erasing her. Amazon's success had given Jeff the resources to pursue ever bigger dreams, but those dreams no longer included the woman who had sacrificed everything to make them possible. She had driven him to Seattle. She had packed the first boxes. She had believed when no one else did. And slowly, methodically, she was being written out of the story entirely. Then came the events of 2018 and early 2019 that would detonate everything. But the timeline of what happened raises questions about control, coordination, and calculated timing that have never been adequately explained. According to reports, Jeff's relationship with Lauren Sanchez began sometime in 2018. Lauren was a former local news anchor turned helicopter pilot, married to powerful Hollywood agent Patrick Whitesell. Both Jeff and Lauren were married when their affair began, conducting it in secret while maintaining their public marriages and family appearances. But here's where the story gets interesting. Deeply, suspiciously interesting. The National Enquirer later claimed they had been investigating Jeff and Lauren for 4 full months before publishing. That means they started tracking this relationship around September 2018, gathering evidence, taking surveillance photos, building an airtight case. Yet Jeff and McKenzie didn't announce their divorce until January 9, 2019. They released a carefully worded joint statement on Twitter saying they decided to divorce after a long period of loving exploration and trial separation. The tone was amicable, almost friendly. They emphasized their continued respect for each other. Then, exactly 24 hours later, on January 10th, the National Enquirer dropped their nuclear bomb, 11 pages of intimate text messages between Jeff and Lauren, messages where the world's richest man wrote things like, "I will show you with my body and my lips and my eyes very soon." The texts were passionate, explicit, and utterly devastating for McKenzie to see published for the entire world to read. But here's what's truly shocking about this timeline. How did Jeff and McKenzie know to announce their divorce exactly 1 day before this expose dropped? The National Enquirer doesn't coordinate with divorce lawyers. They had been building this story since September, working with sources, verifying information, preparing their bombshell. The timing of that divorce announcement wasn't coincidence. Someone knew the story was about to break, and they got ahead of it by exactly 24 hours. The source of those leaked text messages was eventually revealed to be Lauren Sanchez's own brother, Michael Sanchez, who sold them to the National Enquirer for $200,000. But this raises even more questions. Why would Lauren share such intimate, incriminating messages with her brother? How did the National Enquirer know to approach him specifically? And why did the timing align so perfectly with Jeff and McKenzie's announcement? The whole sequence suggests something far more complex than a simple affair exposure. It suggests negotiation, legal maneuvering, and calculated damage control happening behind the scenes, while the public only saw the explosion. What we do know with absolute certainty is how McKenzie handled this thermonuclear public humiliation. She didn't give interviews. She didn't leak her own damaging information. She didn't post cryptic messages on social media. She didn't trash Jeff or Lauren publicly. She didn't fight dirty in divorce proceedings. She simply endured, protecting her 4 children while the world watched her 25-year marriage get dissected in tabloids, mocked in memes, and turned into international entertainment. When the divorce finalized in mid-2019, McKenzie received approximately 25% of their combined Amazon stock, roughly 4% of the entire company, worth about $36 billion at the time. It made her one of the richest women in the world instantly. Most people focused on that staggering number and assumed the story ended there. Wealthy woman gets massive settlement, everyone moves on. But what McKenzie Scott did next revealed everything about what she had really experienced during those 25 years. Within months of the divorce finalizing, McKenzie began giving away her fortune at a pace that shocked financial analysts and philanthropy experts. In July 2020, barely a year after the divorce, she announced she had donated $1.7 billion to 116 different nonprofits. Before the year ended, she had given away another $4.1 billion to 384 organizations. In 2021, another $2.7 billion, 86 groups. The speed was breathtaking. Billions evaporating from her accounts, faster than any philanthropist in history had ever given money away. But it wasn't just the unprecedented speed that was remarkable. It was where the money went, and what that revealed about her suffering. McKenzie systematically funded organizations supporting racial justice, LGBTQ+ equality, women's shelters, domestic violence prevention programs, education access for marginalized communities, and press freedom organizations. She was giving to causes that help people who have been overlooked, silenced, made invisible, or trapped in situations they couldn't escape. Do you see what she was really saying? Through her giving, McKenzie was creating a psychological profile of her own experience. She understood intimately what it felt like to be overlooked, despite your contributions, to be silenced, despite having important things to say, to feel trapped in a situation you couldn't easily leave because of children, because of public perception, because you'd invested 25 years. Even as the wife of the world's richest man, living in a $165 million mansion, she had experienced those exact things. McKenzie also made another profoundly symbolic choice. She changed her name, not back to her maiden name, Tuttle. She chose McKenzie Scott, using her middle name. Think about what that means. She was rejecting both her father's name and her ex-husband's name. She was creating an entirely new identity, defining herself on her own terms for the first time in her adult life. At 51 years old, she was finally becoming just herself. Her philanthropy wasn't just generous. It was a declaration. She was saying through every donation, I know what it's like to lose yourself. I know what it's like to have your contributions erased. I know what it's like to be treated as less important than someone else's vision, and I'm going to make sure others don't suffer invisibly the way I did. By 2024, at 55 years old, McKenzie Scott has donated over $19 billion to more than 2,000 organizations across all 50 states. But when you analyze the specific pattern of her giving, a devastating message emerges about what she really experienced during her marriage to Jeff Bezos. Her focus on press freedom organizations suggests someone who lived with secrets she couldn't tell, truths she couldn't speak. Her massive support for women's shelters and domestic violence prevention programs, over $275 million to organizations like the National Domestic Violence Hotline, indicates an understanding of what it means to feel trapped in a relationship where leaving seems impossible. Her donations to racial justice groups show solidarity with people who have been systematically made invisible by power structures that refuse to acknowledge their humanity or contributions. But McKenzie's methodology reveals even more than her causes. She gives unrestricted grants, meaning organizations can use the money however they determine is best. She doesn't demand naming rights. She doesn't require buildings be named after her. She doesn't create elaborate foundations with boards and bureaucracy. She doesn't even make organizations apply through complex processes. She simply gives and steps back, trusting people to know what they need. This approach suggests someone who intimately understands what it's like to have your autonomy stripped away, to be controlled and managed, to have your opinions dismissed as less informed than the genius in the room. McKenzie is giving these organizations the freedom and trust she perhaps never experienced in her own life. Meanwhile, Jeff moved on with stunning speed. Within months of the divorce finalizing, he and Lauren Sanchez were appearing together at high-profile events, posing for paparazzi on yachts, attending galas as an official couple. Jeff seemed to have absolutely no problem replacing McKenzie in his public life. The woman who had driven him to Seattle, who had been Amazon employee #1, who had spent 25 years building his empire, was swapped out for a newer model with disturbing ease. In 2021, McKenzie briefly remarried to Dan Jewett, a high school science teacher from her children's school. Someone completely outside the billionaire tech world, someone who valued education and young people, someone humble. That marriage ended quietly in 2023, but the choice itself spoke volumes. McKenzie was prioritizing authenticity and values over status, choosing her own path rather than performing for public consumption. The contrast between their post-divorce lives is absolutely stark. Jeff chose spectacle, publicity, and replacement. McKenzie chose substance, privacy, and transformation. So what is the real reason McKenzie Scott at 55 finally admits through her actions that she divorced Jeff Bezos? Through her choices over the past 5 years, she has revealed a truth far more devastating than a simple affair. She discovered that she had spent 25 years completely erasing herself to build someone else's legacy. The affair with Lauren Sanchez wasn't the cause of their divorce. It was simply the final, undeniable confirmation of what had been happening for years. Jeff had slowly, systematically written McKenzie out of their partnership until she became nothing more than a beautiful, intelligent prop in his origin story. Think about it this way. McKenzie had driven Jeff cross-country while he wrote Amazon's business plan. She had been employee number 1, handling accounting and packing boxes. She had raised their 4 children largely alone while Jeff built his empire. She had sacrificed her literary career to support his vision. She had spent 25 years making Jeff Bezos possible, but somewhere along the way, probably around the time Amazon made its first billion, then 10 billion, then 100 billion, Jeff stopped seeing her as the partner who made it all possible and started seeing her as an accessory to his genius narrative. The woman who had made the first move in their relationship, who had asked him out, who had chosen him when he was nobody, was now expected to smile silently at events, while Jeff was celebrated as a singular visionary. Her contributions to Amazon's founding were footnotes in articles about Jeff's brilliance. Her novels were dismissed as cute hobbies. Her entire identity had been reduced to Jeff Bezos' wife, when she had once been so much more, and when she had literally made Jeff Bezos possible. McKenzie's massive philanthropic giving reveals someone who intimately, painfully understands what it means to be overlooked despite your essential contributions. Her focus on supporting marginalized communities isn't just charity, it's solidarity born from shared experience. She's saying through every donation, through every organization she funds, I see you because I was invisible too. I was invisible at the very top of the world, in a $165 million mansion, married to the richest man alive. If I could be erased with all that privilege, anyone can. Her decision to give away billions, to actively reduce her net worth rather than accumulate more, sends another devastating message. The money never mattered. She didn't stay for financial security. She didn't endure 25 years of growing invisibility because she needed his wealth. She stayed because she believed in their partnership, in what they were building together as equals. When Jeff's affair made it undeniable that she was no longer an equal partner, that she perhaps hadn't been for years, the money became meaningless. It was a reminder of everything she'd lost, not compensation for it. By changing her name to McKenzie Scott, she declared independence not just from Jeff Bezos, but from the entire identity constructed around being his wife, his support system, his invisible partner. At 55 years old, after 25 years of disappearing, she was finally becoming the person she was meant to be before Amazon consumed everything. Today, at 55 years old, McKenzie Scott is no longer defined primarily as Jeff Bezos' ex-wife. She's recognized as one of the most influential philanthropists in modern history, a woman using her resources to create systematic change for the people society most often ignores. While Jeff builds rockets to escape Earth and poses with Lauren on super yachts, McKenzie is using her wealth to heal communities that have been overlooked for generations. While Jeff chases his space tourism legacy and tabloid coverage, McKenzie is quietly building a legacy of justice and compassion that will impact millions of lives for decades. Her story proves something both beautiful and painful. Sometimes losing everything is the only way to find yourself. Sometimes the end of one identity is the beginning of becoming who you were always meant to be. Jeff Bezos may have conquered global commerce and reached for the stars, but McKenzie Scott conquered something infinitely more difficult. She conquered 25 years of conditioning that taught her to make herself smaller, quieter, less important. She conquered the fear of being seen on her own terms. She conquered the voice that told her his dreams mattered more than hers. The real tragedy of their divorce isn't the money or the scandal or even the affair itself. It's that Jeff Bezos had a genuine partner, a brilliant woman who believed in him completely when he was nobody, who made his success physically possible, and he threw it all away because he became so intoxicated with his own importance that he forgot about the person who made his importance possible. But McKenzie's story also shows us that betrayal doesn't have to define you. She could have become bitter. She could have used her billions for revenge. She could have written explosive tell-all books detailing every private betrayal. Instead, she chose to transform her pain into purpose, her settlement into social change, her invisibility into a platform for millions of other invisible people. Her $19 billion in donations isn't just unprecedented generosity, it's proof that she found something more valuable than being married to the world's richest man. She found her own voice, her own mission, her own power to change the world without needing anyone's permission or validation. In the end, McKenzie Scott didn't just survive one of the most public divorces in modern history. She used it as a launching pad to become exactly who she was always meant to be before she disappeared into someone else's shadow. The next time you see McKenzie Scott's name on a donation announcement, remember, you're not just seeing generosity, you're seeing a woman who refused to let 25 years of systematic erasure break her spirit, who turned betrayal into power, and who is now using that power to ensure others don't disappear the way she did. What do you think about McKenzie Scott's incredible transformation at 55 years old? How do you think her story will inspire women who feel invisible in their own relationships, who've spent years building someone else's dream while abandoning their own? If you found this deep dive into why McKenzie Scott finally admits she divorced Jeff Bezos valuable, I must insist you watch our next video on Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez, because understanding why he finally admits he had to leave her reveals similar patterns of lost identity and public performance. You'll find that video in the end screen now. And if you're someone who appreciates untold stories revealing the psychological truth behind celebrity marriages, hit that subscribe button, but only if you're ready to see power couples not as relationship goals, but as cautionary tales about losing yourself. I'll see you in the next one.